Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ivan and I'm a commercial still life photographer. This video is a part of my online jewelry photography course in which I teach professional jewelry photography. So if you are into jewelry photography or commercial photography, please consider subscribing to the channel as I have many new videos coming soon. If you like this video, I will appreciate you hitting that like button, and you have the link to my online jewelry photography course in the description below. Enjoy the video and please let me know in the comments if there is anything that you would like to know regarding jewelry photography, and I will do my best to make some videos on the subject. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. We have covered a lot of information by now. All of this information is essential for us to understand in order to gain full control of the process of photographing jewelry items. It is time that we'll take all of this information and put it to use. Our first assignment will be photographing the mirror. This will be our first introduction to photographing reflective objects. Understanding how to properly photograph a mirror is the foundation for any type of jewelry photography. It will lead our way to photographing other types of reflective objects. I will show you how this can be done quickly and easily. First, we'll need to set up a table to place our product on. For this, I will be using a pair of sawhorses. These are from IKEA. I really like these sawhorses. They are very stable and you can easily adjust their height to suit your camera position. On top of them, I am placing a tabletop. This will be our base surface. Next, we will need a background. To hold the background, I'm using a C-stand with a boom attachment. I will mount a small white paper roll on the boom arm. This paper roll is used for printers. It is very cheap and easy to work with. To hold the edge of the paper, I am placing a piece of clear plexiglass on top of the paper. I will position the plexiglass as close as I can to the edge of the table, so it will be less visible in the frame. Once we have our table set up, we can bring in the product. I will place it in the middle of the table, facing a bit off to the side, so we can get a bit more of the wooden base visible. Next, we can position our camera. I will be using my Canon 5D Mark II with an external DC power supply, as I don't want to worry about changing batteries in the middle of the shoot. This camera is my main tool for most of my general product work. It was released back in 2006, and I have been using this model for over 10 years. It provides excellent image quality without all the latest bells and whistles of current camera models, which as a still life photographer I don't really need. I don't need blazing fast autofocus, nor high ISO capabilities or 100 frames per second continuous shooting. This camera delivers the image quality that I need, and I don't see any reason to upgrade it. This camera is widely available on the second-hand market and you can get it for about $300. Next, I will connect the camera to the computer by using a tethering cable. Once I will turn the camera on, the Canon EOS utility program will launch automatically. In order to initialize the tethering process, I will press the remote shooting button. This will open the camera control window. In this window, we can see the various camera parameters. Next, I will open the live view screen so I could see what the camera is seeing. This will allow me to easily compose the shot. I will make sure that the product is positioned in the center of the frame. Next, we can bring in our light. For this shot, I will use my Profoto flash system with a conventional rectangular softbox. I mount the flash on another C-stand with a boom attachment. I will place the light about 45 degrees from the product's top left side. I will make sure not to place the light too close to the product so we will not get a rapid fall-off due to the inverse square law. By placing the light further away from the product, I will be able to light the whole scene fairly evenly. This will provide us with a nice illumination of the wooden base and will produce a pleasing shadow. This flash connects to a 1200 watt power pack. This is the Profoto Pro 7 power pack. I prefer using power packs over monolights as I can easily reach the power pack to change the power settings. On the opposite side of the table, I will place a white foam board to bounce back some of the light into the product. I will make sure that the reflector card does not reflect back in the mirror. To fire the flash, I will use a radio transmitter and receiver. The transmitter is attached to the camera's hot shoe connector, and the receiver connects to the power pack with a cable. I will make sure the radio communication is working properly. Okay, great. So, after everything is set up, we are ready to take our first exposure. I will use the live view to zoom in the image, and I will focus roughly on the center of the product, around the area of the wooden base. Once the lens is focused, I will take a test shot. I set the lens to f11, ISO 100, and the shutter is set to 1/100th of a second. Considering our lighting setup, do you think you could guess the outcome of this shot? Let's see what we get. So the first shot is in. We can see that the overall lighting is a little bit dark, but this is not a problem. I will increase the power of the flash by a stop and take another exposure. This is better. Now we have a nice and even lighting on our scene. The wooden base is properly lit, and we get a nice shadow on the white surface. I guess that you can spot the real problem, which is the mirror. We get a very dark-looking reflection from the mirror, and I am sure that our client will not be satisfied by this image. The overall scene looks nicely lit, but the mirror is completely dark. This is happening because of the angle of reflection. Our flash is only lighting the area of the table. It does not light the entire studio. We have learned that according to the inverse square law, the energy of the light will diminish with the distance. This means that our light is only shining on the area of the table, and the rest of the studio is fairly dark. The dark area of the studio is reflecting in the mirror, resulting in a dark reflection on the surface of the mirror. Of course, we could use Photoshop to fix this issue, by making a selection of the dark reflection and filling it in with an artificial gradient. For this situation, it will be fairly easy because the mirror is flat and the shape of the mirror is simplistic. Once we will start photographing complex, curved surfaces, such as jewelry items, it will not be as simple, and we will need to have real control of our lighting. So, in order to deal with this situation, we will need to add another light that will light the surface of the mirror independently. The first thing we need to do is to figure out the position of the additional light. For this, we need to find the angle of reflection. In this situation, it is not so difficult to find it. We can understand the angle that is reflected, because the mirror is flat and we can see that it's directing the upper right side of the camera. Now, in order to cover the entire surface of the mirror, we will need to use a light that is large enough to cover the angle of incidence. For this situation, I will use a medium-sized white plexiglass. I will use a C-stand to hold it, and I will use the camera's live view to precisely position it in place. I will make sure that the plexiglass covers the angle of reflection completely. Once it's positioned, let's see the result that we get. Okay, I think that is much better. Let's see the difference from the previous shot. The light from the softbox illuminates the white plexiglass, which reflects a nice and even light in the mirror. Some photographers will stop here and call it a day, but I want to make it even better. I want to have a nice light gradient reflection in the mirror. I think that is the proper way to present reflective surfaces. So I will add another flash head to shine through the plexiglass. This will create a bright hotspot on the surface of the mirror. The important thing we need to be aware when trying to do it is that now we are dealing with a direct reflection, which means that the actual light source will reflect back through the mirror. This will be similar to photographing a person with the sun behind him. The camera's digital sensor will not be able to capture this wide of a dynamic range, which will result in blown highlights. We don't want any blown highlights in our images. We want our exposure to be nice and balanced with all the information properly exposed. So it means that we will need a very low power light to balance our main light. For this, I will use the Profoto Acute B battery pack. This pack is a less powerful pack than the Pro 7 pack that I use for the main light. While the main light's power is set to 150 watts, which is almost the minimum power for this model, the Profoto Acute B can be lowered down to a minimum of 9 watts, which should give us the right balance of power between the two lights. So I will set the flash to the minimum setting, hoping we will get a balanced result. I will use the flash modeling light to find the exact position for the illumination of the plexiglass. I'm going for a gradient reflection from the top to bottom of the mirror, but of course you can choose how you want the gradient, as we have the whole surface of the mirror under control. Let's turn off the modeling light and take another shot. Okay, this looks nice. We have a nice highlight on the surface of the mirror without overexposing the shot. Let's look at the sequence of images that we have captured and compare them. I definitely think that the last shot is the best one. Of course, you could try to get different gradient results. For example, I could position the plexiglass in a way that it will only partially light the mirror, resulting in a hard contrast reflection. This can add to the sense of glossiness, and it's a totally creative decision. Let's see how this looks. It's nice, but I think I prefer the previous shot. The last thing I will do before proceeding to the finishing touches in Photoshop is creating a custom color profile. I will place my color checker passport in this scene and take a shot. I can now close the camera's live view. I will then open it in Camera Raw, crop the color checker, and save it as a DNG file. I will launch the color checker camera calibration software and drag the DNG file. The software will recognize the color chart and will create a custom color profile. Once the color profile has been created, I will save it on my computer. Next, before opening the image in Photoshop, I will select all of the final images, open them in Camera Raw, and select the newly saved color profile from the top drop-down menu where it states Profile. I will locate the profile that I have just saved and select it. You can see the calibrated image versus the uncalibrated image. It's not a dramatic difference, but this is needed in order to have our colors show up correctly. I will use the curves adjustments to make sure that I have an exact exposure. I will add some contrast and I will open the file in Photoshop. In Photoshop, I will create a selection of the product. I will then save the clipping path and select it. I will duplicate the product to a separate layer. I will then add a white background layer under the product's image. Next, I want to use the original shadow, so I will duplicate the base exposure and drag it above the white background layer. I will then add a curves layer adjustment under the product's cutout layer. I will drag the lower left slider all the way to the right to crush all of the dark tones. This will make it easier for me to see when the background becomes truly white. Below the dark curves layer, I will add another curves layer. This time I will do the opposite. I will drag the top right handle left until the background around the product becomes white. Then I will add a new blank layer under the dark curves layer, and with a hard edge white brush I will paint the dark areas that are not completely white. Next I will turn off the upper dark curves layer as I don't need it anymore. I will select the product from the cutout layer and I will crop the image. This way I will make sure that the product is exactly in the center of the frame. Then I will add a black and white adjustment layer above the shadow layer to remove any color cast it might have. I will also adjust the second curves layer to brighten the shadow a bit. Then I will change the canvas size to a square format. I will add another blank layer on top of the cutout layer, and I will clean any dust particles that might be visible. Then I will add another black and white adjustment layer in order to remove the greenish tint of the mirror surface. I will use a layer mask to only affect the mirror reflection. With a hard edge white brush, I will paint the layer mask so the mirror will be colorless. Lastly, I will add a curves adjustment layer to adjust the contrast of the mirror surface. I will copy the black and white adjustment layers mask so it will only affect the mirror surface. That's it. I will save the final result as a PSD file in case I will want to make some changes in the future. So there you have it. This is how you shoot a mirror. Of course, once you understand the procedure, you can add your own personal touches to it, while doing whatever you think looks good in your eyes. It's totally up to you. So, this will wrap the mirror shoot video. I hope you have learned something new, and as usual, if you have any questions on the subject, head over to our Facebook group and share your questions. Next, we are going to learn how to shoot one of the most difficult objects to photograph, the metal sphere. This is going to be very interesting. You won't want to miss it. But before taking on the metal sphere, I would like to introduce to you my preferred lighting equipment, the Dado light system. The Dado light is one of the most precise light systems on the market. It will enable us to get the control that we need in order to precisely light our jewelry items. I will see you in the next video.